My name is Ashley. I work at a toy manufacturing company. Ever since I was a kid, it's been my dream to work here, so I absolutely love my job every day. Things are going well in my personal life, too. Last year, I met Daniel on a dating app, and we got married. Daniel is tall and handsome, but he was also struggling to find someone like me. He didn't get married until he was 35. Daniel has a younger brother named William, who coincidentally also got married around the same time as us last year. William and Daniel have quite an age gap. Daniel seemed to adore William, but he wasn't very fond of William's wife, Jessica. I had to chuckle when the usually quiet Daniel muttered this little complaint about Jessica to me. Indeed, Jessica always wore strong perfume and seemed to prefer only designer brands. Daniel and I are not into the flashy lifestyle. We both believe that a modest life is more than enough for us. William doesn't seem to be all that into glitz and glamour either, and he appeared to be quite henpecked by Jessica, who is 2 years older than him. The vague impression we had of the couple, William being submissive and Jessica being overpowering and fragrant, was largely due to the fact that we live a plane ride away from our in-laws. Daniel moved to the big city for his job, while William found employment closer to home. Because of this, William and Jessica built their house on a plot of land next to the in-laws. We bought our home in Boston and had been somewhat concerned about leaving William and Jessica to care for our parents. However, Willie assured us, saying, "Don't worry about it. We'll take care of Mom and Dad. It's better that someone who lives close by takes care of them." I hate those old-fashioned ideas, like the eldest son being responsible. He said it in such an easygoing manner that we felt we could lean on him to some extent, but things didn't go as smoothly as we had hoped. One day, while Daniel and I were enjoying our peaceful married life, a call came in from William to our house. Daniel was out at the moment, so he answered the phone and heard William's tired voice. "Hey Ashley, could you and my brother come home as soon as possible? What happened? Is everything okay?"
Oh no! Mom and Dad perfectly fine.
"Hello, my name is John. I love Kat."
Mom and Dad are perfectly fine.
That left me wondering what could be the matter.
I saw him hesitate and then finally got to the point. I'm really sorry to ask, but Jessica is having a hard time right now. But she's insisting she needs to talk to both of you immediately.
Is this about what we'll do if something happens to Phil and Mail?
Is there something you say at something like that? Are you referring to concerns about our parents? Do you avert from Porterness he tempted? He asked us.
I was thinking at the time that maybe Jessica was growing weary of the sole responsibility of caring for our aging in-laws, just because they live nearby. Since the thought of leaving the care of my in-laws all to Jessica had always weighed on me, I opened my planner, thinking we must address her concerns. I think we can come by this Saturday. Daniel has to work until noon, so he'll arrive later than me. Is that okay?
Oh, really? How? I can't manage Jessica anymore. I's critiquing you. Thank you, Mr. Gerjot.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. After reassuring the exhausted William, I ended the call, thinking that I might be confronted by Jessica. I explained the situation to Daniel, who had just returned home, just as I thought. I could go to my in-laws in the morning, while Daniel was planning to arrive later in the afternoon. Daniel did suggest, why don't we both go in the afternoon? But given how worn out William sounded, it was clear that the sooner we got there, the better. Don't worry about it. Jessica's just becoming a bit more sensitive, that's all. When I said this optimistically, Daniel looked uneasy and replied, "You think so?" Daniel works in human resources at his company. Given all the people he's encountered over the years, Jessica must have seemed troublesome to him from the get-go. But without giving it much thought, I remained too optimistic and headed for my in-laws' house alone. I had to drive from the airport to get to their house. William had said he would pick me up, so I decided to take him up on the offer. When William arrived to pick me up, he looked significantly thinner than when he first married Jessica.
I'm sorry, you had to come all this way.
No worries, but you do look like you've lost weight. William hesitated with his words. His weight loss didn't look like the result of a diet. After all, William was never really overweight to begin with. His cheeks seemed sunken, making it hard not to worry about his well-being. I should thought then that Jessica might be affecting him. If I had, I wouldn't have ended up so hurt, since it was William and Jessica's house. I thought nothing of it, assuming we'd walk over to my in-laws' from there. William must have had the same idea. What stopped him in his tracks as he walked from the garage toward my in-laws' house was Jessica, who appeared at the front door.
Yeah, Gavin, that's true. I take it that we have, that's true.
William, come here and bring Ashley.
What's the matters with cheeking my daughter Bellies to this? Shouldn't we include Dad and Mom for this? Ashley versus?
Why did you invite me? Grace?
When we first met, she seemed like a capable wife, caring deeply for William.
He seemed my bewilderment. As William tentatively asked, "So, can we go into our house?"
Neither of us could go against an angry Jessica, so instead of heading into my in-laws' home, we stepped into the house next door where William and Jessica lived.
As once inside, is a Kerlesicat that sat in the living room chair, legs and arms crossed, and gestured with her chin for me to sit on the other side of the table. Oh.
William took his seat next to Jessica, and I sat down facing her.
You're right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't come earlier because of work.
Oh, flooding your career, huh? Change things.
Excuse me? Her insult was so unexpected that my mind went blank. I'd never been so disrespected in my life. Jessica looked increasingly irritated with my stunned silence.
We're struggling a lot because William's salary is low. I can't buy the things I want, and I never intended to live like this. I thought civil servants made more money. Shoshin's right.
William looked uncomfortable sitting next to Jessica. He's a hardworking local civil servant. As I absorbed the shock of hearing Jessica speak so poorly of her own husband, she glared at me.
I'm really close to my father-in-law and mother-in-law. That's because I live nearby. If they need groceries, I'll get it for them. And when it comes to looking after them in their old age, I'll do that too, and scrippers. Like getting nothing in return feels unfair, don't you think?
I apologize. Because we're living in Boston, I've unintentionally put this burden on you.
Ginelli, you know we're talking. But you can't have kids, right? Being a rotten woman as you are, can't you at least be useful in some way? Ever think of maybe financially supporting us?
Her harsh words now made sense to me. It's true. I can't have children. I was diagnosed with this condition when I was younger, and it's one of the reasons I got married late. I can never be a mother. The loneliness I feel because of this is indescribable, and the most isolating moment in my life was when I received that diagnosis.
Daniel's words, even if we can't have children, having, Ashley is enough for me, have always been my rock.
Now it felt as though Jessica had reopened that healing wound.
Unlike you, special to your past, Ashley teach bracht. I'm 30 and I can have kids. I give my in-laws grandchildren and be even more devoted to them. But you can't do that, can you? So shouldn't the least you could do is financially support us? Only on this tip, eh? Why aren't you giving us money?
So you're saying you want money from Daniel and me?
Wow, the way you put it makes me sound like a cheapskate. The real issue is that my husband isn't making enough. Gino.
As she spoke, she slapped William on the shoulder. He winced and rubbed his shoulder, but didn't say a word, all the while with her arms crossed and legs crossed. Jessica looked down at me as if she were a queen.
I would be the ideal daughter-in-law for our in-laws. Oh, Ashley and Daniel, you'll work for me. It won't be fair unless you give me half of your salary. I'm the one willing to put my body through childbirth to give them adorable grandchildren. Something you could never do. Well, just give me the money, no questions asked.
A sharp pain erupted in the depths of my heart. It was as if I was being pulled back into the younger version of me, the one who was heartbroken over my inability to have children. If I could have kids, I would have wanted them with Daniel. Just as these thoughts started circulating in my mind, the living room door burst open.
Is this where the cheapskate wife resides?
The voice that seemed to clear the heavy atmosphere caught my attention, and I quickly turned toward the door. It was Daniel who had opened it, and behind him, my father-in-law, both wearing frowns of discomfort.
Oh, look, it's Daniel, my father-in-law.
Immediately dropping her crossed arms and legs, she greeted Daniel and my father-in-law with a smile.
Sucking up to Dad now is a little too late. You've been playing the good girl to mooch money from both Dad and Mom, haven't you? And now you want money from us too. I heard everything in the hallway.
Daniel's voice was icy cold, making Jessica visibly uncomfortable.
Daniel finished work early and came because he was worried about Ashley. We found out you were here from your mother, and we're shocked to hear the horrible things that you were saying to Ashley. We've always given you money because we thought you were taking care of us. Maybe that was a mistake. Ashley, I'm sorry for any discomfort we've caused you.
Why, all the time? I'd be the wife who can actually help out father-in-law and mother-in-law and even give you grandchildren. There's no need to apologize to a woman like her.
Ashley isn't the problem. The problem is in your head.
Biskika, let out our prize gas. Authorized gas bang. A Misby?
Don't summon people just to yap unnecessary things at someone's precious wife. I married Ashley because I wanted her, not because I wanted children.
Daniel's words felt like a warm light. Hearing Daniel's words made me feel like I deserved to live. It was the same feeling I had when he proposed, saying as long as Ashley is beside me for the rest of my life. I don't need anything else. Feeling like I'd woken up. I stood from my chair. I know we just got here, but after we see mother-in-law, Daniel and I will be going home. We'll have to decline on the money issue. There's no reason for us to become slaves to Jessica. While we appreciate your concern for our in-laws, we don't believe that this is a problem that money can solve.
What are you talking about? I'm offering to do what you two can't. You should be paying me.
Jessica slammed her hand on the table as she stood up, releasing a cloud of perfume. I hadn't even had time to worry about her clothes, but as usual, she was decked out in all designer gear. Buying all of this must have been quite expensive.
Big bras and today.
William mumbled and seemed to shed a few tears, ignoring Jessica, who started to make a fuss again. Daniel and I headed to my in-laws' house. After greeting our in-laws and telling them everything that Jessica had said, mother-in-law lamented, "That girl is just so stubborn." Father-in-law offered to drive us to airport, but as we were leaving the house, William came running. "If you want, why don't we all go to Boston for now?" William nodded, agreeing to come with us to Boston. Apparently, he just let things happen. As soon as he got to Boston, William consulted a lawyer.
Yes, there was an incident where Jessica, who had followed us to Boston, stopped at our doorstep screaming, "If you're leaving, give me all the money."
William is now safely back at my in-laws' home and seems to have severed ties with Jessica. Willie had kept a daily diary detailing the abuse and harsh words from Jessica during their marriage, which became evidence, allowing him to claim compensation in the divorce case. Jessica now has to work to pay that compensation and is employed at a factory in her hometown. As for us, we're still living our peaceful days, just the two of us. There's no problem as long as he's with me,